Welcome to State of the Franchise Gaming, and if the idea of playing every single game, all 162 games... Excuse me, I'm in the middle of a video, asshole. Now, Sony San Diego has given us 5 different ways to play a game of franchise that take no real thought to it and, pretty straightforward as currently placed in the game. You can play a full game, you can quick manage, you can player lock, you can fully manage a game where you make the decisions of what a player is to do, but you don't control it. Duh. And nobody plays retro mode, so we can cross that out and honestly just slap the word simulate on there because, again, nobody plays retro mode. I don't know how much space is taken up. I'm sorry, Ken Griffey Jr., but nobody wants to play this way. Hell, I know you don't want to play this way. Now, playing a full game is, as it states, you take full control of the team for a 9-inning game, extra innings as necessary. Change uniforms, duh. Change presentation modes, cloud cover, though I usually leave all that stuff as is, at least as far as weather is concerned. I like the randomness. You get to choose who your pitcher is, who your starter is, or if you're like the Tampa Bay Rays, who your opener is, which is perfectly fine. Nobody's going to stop you. And you get to set your lineup. Now, you can also set your lineup outside of this here screen, as there are 4 different ways to do so. Both with DH and without DH options against righties and lefties. Me personally, I like to have as much of a balance as possible between righties and lefties. In my own humble opinion, I consider switch hitters lefties because most pitchers are righties, so they're usually going to bat lefty. You're never going to see a switch hitter that is going to face a righty and bat righty, unless there's some kind of odd quirk or something of that nature. Quick manage mode is, again, as it states, you make the strategic game decisions while quickly simulating every at-bat. And again, it's pretty much like a text-based kind of thing, where you get a number of options and, you pick one and they do what they do. They either get a hit or they walk or they hit by a pitch or something of that nature. Or if you're on the pitching side, you get to choose whether you're going to pitch, just let the pitches go however the ratings are. You either pitch to contact or pitch around as a strategic measure, or you intentionally walk them or something of that nature. Player lock, very simply, you get to pick any one of the 10 players that start the game, and you take control of them. Simple as that. And finally, the most rare way to play through a game besides retro mode, full manage mode, where you get to make all the managerial decisions like you're the person in the dugout. Maybe not with the hand signals and whatnot, all that stuff. You look like you're throwing gang signs, but you get to make all the decisions, and things play out however they play out, typically based off the ratings and not much else. Without further ado, I'm going to give you all of the different ways that I've been able to play through an MLB the Show season in order to play 162 games. Now, some of these will include simulation because I'm not always going to play a full game. Sometimes I need to take a nap. Sometimes I gotta go to work. Sometimes I gotta go do something else. So I have to, cut my playing session down by at least half. Number 1, picking one side or the other. That being either the hurler or the masher. That being, I could either player lock as the pitcher, the starting pitcher, and just play out the at bats, just pitching until the manager decides to pull him, or you can do it where in between innings you'll just simulate through so that you still have control over the pitcher, yet the offense does what the offense does, or vice versa. You can play through every offensive at bat, and then when it comes time to pitch, you can either let the manager, the CPU, the AI control when your starter comes out or any relievers, or you can do it where you play through each at bat, you go into the quick manage tab, you simulate through the pitching and then jump back out in order to just play your offensive at bat. Number 2, choosing your positional group. Typically this involves you just playing those players at bats. Some of the ways I've done this is, just middle infielders, just corner infielders, guys on the diamond, outfielders. Oh, and if you play with the DH, I sometimes like to throw that guy in there just so I can get some extra ABs. Again, similar to that is choosing a side of the field you want to deal with. Now, I've already mentioned you playing just the infielders, in terms of the middle infielders, the outer infielders, but you can also just say, hey, I want everybody that plays on the left side, including the catcher, everybody that plays on the right side, including the catcher, and anybody up the middle. If you so choose, you can play the part of the pitcher, but I'm pretty sure most of you are probably for the universal DH, so your pitcher's probably not going to hit. You can play through based on your lineup. You can take care of the top 3 batters in your lineup, the middle 3 or 4 in your lineup, and the bottom 3 in your lineup. You can play it limiter style. Now, literally, I'm just coming up with this off the cranium, but where you take control of your team for a certain amount of innings or even a certain amount of at-bats, and then you just let the game go to either quick manage or you simulate. You can straight up quick manage. As I mentioned earlier, they say the option only takes 5 minutes. Might take a little longer than that depending on how things play out. You'll get extra innings games, but you'll be able to get through a game fairly quickly while still going through the motions of the excitement of the game, even if you're not watching it per se. Hero ball. You take the idea of critical situations and you get your team out of the jam, or you give your team, the opportunity to either take the lead or, solidify a victory late in the game. For instance, I've had it where I will simulate through the first 6 innings and then jump in the 7th. I could be down by 2, I could be down by 10, and you gotta be patient, and I know the nerves and the heart's pumping, the adrenaline's rushing. Even if it's game number 62 out of nowhere, you still can be able to pull out the victory if you're good enough. Actually, any combination of the previously mentioned ideas. I've done so on my first channel, State of the Franchise Sports, where in some of the games, for instance, in the San Francisco Giants rebuild, which I know I never finished, but the idea is that you get to see the idea of how things play out. I'll leave a link to the playlist in the description, but take a combination of any of these. For instance, the idea where I will play through the offense's first 2 at-bats and then simulate the rest, or something along the lines where I will control the starter and maybe the middle 3 batters in a lineup and let the game play out and simulate everything else. I have done it where the starter will get through their batters, and then I will come in and play the relievers and the rest of the offensive at-bats. So if that's in the 6th, the 7th, 8th, maybe you've got a pitcher that's playing well enough out there that, they're getting it into the 9th, and the closer comes in, and you got to close it out, or really, maintain where the score is where it is, and then go about, trying to mount a comeback because your offense hasn't done a damn thing all game. That is actually how I will be playing franchises here on this channel. I won't be playing all full games. I won't just be simulating everything, because in my opinion, I find simulating to be rather out of touch. You see, your players' numbers and stats and stuff like that, but you don't get a real feel for who they are as players unless you have some way to, actually get a peek in at what your team is like, and, sometimes jump out. Maybe a player plays better when you don't have any control over them. Maybe a player plays above their attributes if you're playing with them also. maybe there's a trade that you feel like you can pull off, but you know, in March to October, they won't give you that opportunity to get that, you know, that special player to put your team over the top, you know, make the playoffs, make a wild card, make a World Series, and win a championship.
Not buying it. Sinker. Let's go! World Series champs, baby. Let me get the gold foil off real quick. Gold foil off that thing. Yeah, it's not corkscrew because I don't want to damage my $1,000 computer. Let me. Come on. Open up. There we go. Oh, let's go. Smells so fucking sweet. Let's do this. Bottoms up, baby. Woo! This would probably taste better if I bought a sweeter champagne, but actually this is perfectly fine. Woo! And that, my friends, is the end of this series. Yeah. I hope I don't get too drunk at this point, but I mean,